From the report in the Sunday Times yesterday, it's clear that something probably went wrong in relation to the missile firing from a Trident submarine from HMS Vengeance back in June. And it's not clear exactly what went wrong, but hypothetically it could either be something on the British side or on the American side. On the British side, with the arrangements for firing the missile, and possibly in relation to some of the subcomponents on the missile, including the instruments designed to record how well the missile went through its trajectory. On the American side, whether the missile itself, there's something wrong with the missile or the engine or other components supplied by the United States. The consequences for next action would depend on the answer to that question. If there was something that went wrong with the UK fire control, then we would want to learn, Royal Navy would want to learn lessons from that. And there's a relatively small number of UK tests, only every 3 or 4 years, which allow us to gather extra data in that regard. If it's something to do with the American missile, then the United States has a much larger number of tests in relation to its missile. In either case, lessons will have to be learned depending on what particular failure took place. It's unlikely that we will ever know exactly what the failure was. We're perhaps more likely to know it from the United States, from US congressional scrutiny of this, than we are from the UK government. But in either case, it's one of the most important things for tests. The reason that governments conduct military tests is to learn lessons and act upon them. It's, I think, in my view, pretty unlikely that this will have fundamental implications for the viability of this missile system, which has served the United States and the United Kingdom well for the last quarter of a century. But it may have implications for particular subsystems within the missile. It may have implications for the longevity of the program and how long we can maintain confidence in it. Certainly, if an experience such as this were to be repeated in future tests by the US or perhaps by the UK, then the cumulative lesson would be quite important. The credibility of the UK's Trident nuclear system does depend on whether potential adversaries such as Russia believe that it could be used, and it could be used effectively in an extreme scenario. And therefore the Russians look at our systems as much as they can to see whether they're working. And when we test our missiles, it's a very visible test. We're firing it through the atmosphere, we're landing in a particular place, which we have announced in advance it is likely to land. So the Russians will have known whether this missile did operate as expected, or in this case it appears did not. If we conducted a whole series of tests and every one failed, then that would have significant implications for the credibility of our threats to use it in future. But in this case, this is an isolated test, and I think the impact on deterrence therefore would be rather limited.